Welcome back, baseball fans, to this eliminating the Boston Red Sox video. They had a very difficult season. If I told you they lowered their ERA by a run and they made the playoffs the last couple of years, you'd probably think, oh, does this mean they're going to compete for a World Series? And the answer is no, they're in last place. Because their offense abandoned them in a big way. 224 batting average. One of the lowest batting averages I've ever had in this carryover league, and for Boston to be that recipient is even more astonishing. So in a part-time, Dwight Evans had 88 at-bats at 295, not a lot of power, but he was a nice surprise. Tommy Harper led the American League in stolen bases, 287 as well, and a nice year. Went to the All-Star game. Everybody below 250 beyond that. Yaz 246 with a 350 on base is decent. Fisk, who started like a house of fire, led the league in homers in April. Had 8 homers and 26 RBI, which is decent, but his batting average fell to 197 mysteriously. Doug Griffin, starting second baseman, 189. But then Enrico Petrocelli, just a horrible fade. And a long fall it has been from that 1969 card that hit 40 home runs. He's now a 157. What a terrible year for the offense. And for the pitching, they traded for Rick Wise, and he was underused, really. And when he did pitch, he wasn't that great anyway. So that's what you get for Reggie Smith. So that didn't work. Roger Moret using the bullpen role, that didn't work either. He didn't work out at all. They got Ted Abernathy to close out games. He got 5 saves, but that didn't work out either. They picked up a free agent, Chuck Seelback, to be the long man. That certainly didn't work out. Tiant's card is a 190 ERA card, pitched at 262, so that's, that's okay. That's nice. Bill Lee was 3-6. John Curtis and Bobby Bolin were nice surprises, but otherwise, this is a train wreck, folks. Give them some props for going 13-18. This team could have completely pooped the bed and gone 9-22 or something, but they went 13-18. But the American League East was rough this year. They scored 117 runs. They gave up 135. Just not the year for the Red Sox. And but the fun part about it is that it means they'll get a top 10 pick in the draft, and most likely that'll be Fred Lynn, the 1975 Rookie of the Year and MVP, who propelled them to the World Series. So let's take a look now at the Red Sox card stack. We're going to pull out the 71 cards here. And leaving us with 12 of the other years. So 8 of 71. And of course that means that in this comeback year, these are the 8 guys' cards who are going to go away. We'll look at these guys a little more at the end of the video. The 12 guys are coming back. 6 of the cards are from 72, 4 from 73, and 2 from 74. The most optimal split would be 7 and 5, but in this particular one, the Red Sox are going to bring back a healthy load of pitchers. Yeah, 6 and 6, so they're bringing back a load of pitchers so they can rebuild the offense, which is what the Boston needs to do. Their pitching was okay this year, and the hitting was bad, and that's what they're going to have to improve upon. So these are the 6 hitters that are coming back. You got Fisk catching, Yaz at first, Doug Griffin at second. Tommy, there's an outfield, but see, here's the problem. You see, you're going to get Fred Lynn in center field. So either Miller is in a part-time role, or Harper's at DH, or you trade somebody. But so to get to the World Series in '75, or at least the first attempt at it, you'll add Lynn. But then you're probably going to also need Burleson, maybe comes along to play shortstop, and an aging Petrocelli. And maybe, Tommy Harper might be good enough to be a DH. The pitching staff is decent. So Lee, The Wise card, interestingly enough, it was a 71 Rick Wise card, so they theoretically could punt on him, but they shouldn't because he's got a good 72, I believe. Yeah, so the Wise card was 71 Wise, 17, 14, 288. That's what went away, but they'll probably bring him back to pitch on 3 days rest. With the Spaceman, Tion's going to give this great card one more shot. And Curtis pitched pretty well this year, so starting pitching is okay. They could use a really good lefty setup guy. That's what they missed in the past season. Abernathy's fine as a closer. They went out and got him in the offseason, and that's a nice pitcher there. Not bad. I mean, if I told you the Red Sox were content with their pitching and wanted to go out and go crazy and buy a bunch of hitters, you'd probably get all excited about that. I would, if I was a Red Sox fan. So let's take a look at those 8 hitters from, or those 8 players from 1971 and see what the Red Sox do with them. All right, baseball fans, we're going to take a look here at what the Boston Red Sox do with their 8 players. 6 are going to be hitters and 2 pitchers that they're going to keep, waive, retire, trade. The first is Mike Andrews. You see him with the Red Sox hat. He actually was on the White Sox in this timeline here. You see, he goes to the White Sox in 71. We kept him in Boston, and he'll finish his career in 73. The next couple years for Mike are not particularly good ones. It's the 1 year we just played was his 840 OPS, then he drops 200 points. So it's not good, particularly in a full season in 72 for the White Sox at age 28. That's a shame. So he will get waivers, and we'll give him waivers in 72, but there's no reason to keep him. So we'll start him there on waivers. And the next guy, Jackie Hernandez, and I don't know if he even had an association with the Red Sox. He was taken as a backup shortstop to Kennedy. He played for all these teams, none were the Red Sox. And so 72, he has this card. In 71, this is the card he had 206. 72, he'll have a card with Pittsburgh, 186 at bats. We can double check that by going to the Super D site and for the 72 season. And just to make sure that he has a card, that he's got to have a Strat-O-Matic card for Pittsburgh for me to put a guy on waivers. That means that we have a waiver list of guys to look at. Jack J. Hernandez, there he is. So he's on waivers as well. 2 guys already on waivers. That's a good sign. That means they don't like what they have. John Kennedy, if you watch the final Red Sox game, he played poorly. And this was the gamble you made, as this guy could handle the shortstop or third base for the Red Sox, and it didn't work. He had a bad time this past year. And here he is with the Red Sox starting in 70 through 74. This was the season we just played. He can come back next year. As a utility player, I'll be kind and I'll make him a keeper at coming back as a utility player, but frankly, he's better off going on waivers. I only put him there because I already have 2 guys on waivers already. Put question marks there. Next guy is Hal King, and you're seeing a lot of these guys, they're not even Red Sox. Maybe that's the problem. They went out and signed a lot of guys in free agency. They didn't do anything. Hal King had a great 1970 with some nice power. 461 OPS in 70. But in 71, he's down to 207. 72, he's a Texas Ranger with 150 plate appearances. Let's see if that card exists for the Rangers. Fahey Billings, Hal King. Card exists. We can put him on waivers. Wow, 4 down, and we don't have anybody we really want to keep. That's an interesting team. Boston could be on the phones. They could be looking to trade some guys here. This is really interesting. They have no guys moving forward in their system. The next guy, Rico Petrocelli, he'll come back, of course, but his numbers are declining. What a 69 year. What a 1969. I don't think people realize what he did here as a guy who was a 2E16 at shortstop and a 2 at third base. So you're going to put a 2E16 at short if you can. 40 home runs, 297, 403 on base, 992. What a season for a shortstop. I think you can put those numbers up against any historical shortstops. You know, A-Rod, Ripken, whatever you want to do. My goodness. A lot of people, 26 years old. Amazing. Power still there in 71 with 28 dingers, and then he becomes a good slick fielding third baseman, but his numbers are dropping quickly. We'll bring him back to play third base. We have our choice of 72, 3, 4, or 5. Has MVP votes in 72, so it's probably that year. Petrocelli coming back to Boston. And one more hitter. And another import, Larry Stahl. Now you're starting to see why this team bombs on offense. He brought in a bunch of guys as free agents. None of them panned out. There's Larry Stahl. Known for breaking up Milt Pappas' perfect game in 1972. Larry Stahl here. Again, a guy not associated with Boston, so they don't mind him leaving. 297 plate appearances in 72 for the Padres. That card should exist. We'll just double check that it does. I'm only checking because the numbers are so bad. It exists. He's going on waivers as well. So come to Boston if you need a guy to put on waivers, because they have 4 already and possibly a 5th one. So Boston is going to need to work the phones in the off season here and find some guys they want to keep. They might be forced to keep John Kennedy just as utility infielder with Petrocelli at third, because they got nobody else unless they make a deal. The next guy is Rick Wise, and they'll bring him back. And the next 2 guys they'll bring back. Rick Wise, been involved in some pretty interesting trades, folks. Let's just go to the trades he's been part of. It's probably a bad reputation for just being part of trades, and it's not his fault. That means he's coveted. People like the guy, right? What's wrong with that? I think it's great for Hall of Famers to be traded for you. So here we go. Yep, traded by the Phillies to the Cardinals for Steve Carlton. And then a year and 6 months later, traded with Bernie Carbo to the Red Sox for Reggie Smith and Ken Tatum. Oh, was he traded for a third Hall of Famer? Dennis Eckersley? Yeah, he was. Traded in 78 to the Indians for Eckersley. So think about that, man. He was traded for Reggie Smith, Dennis Eckersley, and Steve Carlton in his career. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty interesting stuff there for Rick Wise. All right, so here's his numbers. So it's funny. We used the 71 Philadelphia card. We're looking at WAR. Let's look at here's some numbers. We used this All-Star Philadelphia card in 71. Boston could use that Cardinal card in 72 that they had for a couple of years, or an All-Star year in 73, or your choice of 74 and 75. Obviously 74 he got hurt, so that card didn't exist. So they got 3 cracks at this for Rick Wise, and they're in good shape. I mean, they're all good cards, those 3. If you're in the mood for a 4-year card. Remember, in 75, you already want to go for Freddie Lynn, so you don't want to tie up. You only have one other player you can pick from that season. Could be Burleson. So Rick Wise will certainly come back to Boston. And I think you have a chance now. Your last keeper guy is going to be Roger Moret. And you've got one really nice year in this timeline for Roger from 70 to 78. He pitched in the 75 World Series. I think that might be the year, too. Yeah, 75. So, if you did that, then it's a Lennon Moret, and that's all you get. Might want to think of, I know this was a nice win-loss percentage and a nice ERA, but WHIP's 1.43. What if you took the 73 Moret instead? That way you've got an extra spot available in 75 if there's another great player from that year besides Lynn. You don't have to lock Moret into that specific year. You could go 73 Moret, and then in 2 years' time bump it up to 75 Moret. So that's what the Red Sox would do in this case. 73 Moret's 13-2. I didn't realize that. So his winning percentage is actually better. He somehow didn't lead the league in won-loss percentage. He was 27-5 over those 2 seasons, Roger Moret. All right, 73 Moret will be it. So it's actually okay now. I'm fine with this team as it's constituted, because I figure that Kennedy can just be a utility player, worst case. And all the extra waiver guys you have here, you'll just trade them for retired players. Maybe you'll pick up a token, a draft token, like a team desperate for currency. They give Boston an extra move in the draft to move a guy. All right, that's it. 404. We now have done eliminating let's see, 21 and 12 is 33, 40. We've eliminated 10 teams already? No, we haven't eliminated 10 teams. 8. That's right, 8. 21 and 12 is 33, and 7 is 40. 5. That's right, I'm sorry. 5 teams have been eliminated to this point. Meaning that if it was done perfectly, you'd have 5 4s is 20. And then that's what the number would be. 20, 10, 10. That means 20 keepers, 10 retire, 10 waived, and 10 retires. And our number is 21, 12, 07. So what this number means, we'll do it this way so you can get an idea. You have 1 more keeper than what you need, 2 more wave guys for what you need, and 3 fewer retired guys from what you need. That's good, because you want to simply slide kept and waived players into retirement if you find, and with the least talented of those would go into that pool. So you always want to be above the maximum retirements, which is 64. So the trend is looking good now for the league, and that's how we compute that in the long run. So thanks for checking out this eliminating the Boston Red Sox video. We'll see you next time.